So the Studio Buds have been out for several weeks, actually closer to a couple months now, and we've actually been using them a lot. And are they kind of worth getting?
In my opinion, not really.
For me, the most attractive thing about the Studio Buds is actually the price. It's so hard to beat the price point for this product and the features that are included at that price point.
So in the next few minutes, we're gonna cover the differences on paper, differences in real life, as well as in the gym.
First time watching one of our videos, click subscribe. This is an unsponsored video. This is an unsponsored channel. Nothing we do is paid by anybody other than you guys for using our affiliate links. It's 100% pure real.
Well, that was awkward. Just hit subscribe and the notification bell.
Pure real.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. So Val, what are we drinking? Because I can pronounce it properly.
Micheladas. We've said it like 70,000 times.
I've said it 70,000 times, and I've said it's wrong 70,000 times, so.
Micheladas. That's what we're drinking. They're great.
So do check that video out. In the description section below. I think we've posted videos with it before, but this video got really delayed, so you'll notice that I shaved.
And he has new glasses.
The AirPods and AirPod Pros use Apple's H1 chip. The Beats does not, which means that for Apple users, you'll have to sync the Studio Buds manually across all your devices. Now, as a side note, you can use your AirPods with Android devices, but Apple has gone out of their way to say that the Studio Buds work with Android. Out of the three headphones, the normal AirPods do not have active noise cancellation. Both the Pro and Studio Buds have transparency mode, which pipes in sound from the outside, which makes it easier for you to hear things around you. One of the odd things that Apple did with the Studio Buds is hammer on the fact that the buds use Class 1 Bluetooth. The AirPods are marketed using Bluetooth 5.0. Now, when it comes to charging your buds, the ANC and transparency mode on the Beats and AirPods Pro are going to affect their battery life. The normal AirPods don't have ANC or transparency mode, so for those, the battery will last about 5 hours with a single charge, and if you've got the case on you, you'll have over 24 hours of battery life before you need to charge the case again. These buds also have fast charge, so if you put your buds in the case for 15 minutes, it'll provide you 3 hours of listening time. The Beats and AirPod Pros almost have the same battery life. With one charge, the AirPod Pros will provide 4.5 hours of listening time, and the Beats will beat them out by a tiny bit at 5 hours of listening time with a single charge. But with the charge case, both will give you over 24 hours of listening time. Both of these also have fast charge, but with these, only 5 minutes of charge time will give you 1 hour of listening time. When it comes to sensors, there's a couple of differences between each pair of headphones. The first is that the Studio Buds won't have any sort of motion detecting sensor, which means music keeps playing when they're out of your ears. The second is that the sensor on the AirPod Pros allow you to listen to things in glorious spatial audio, which basically mimics the sound from stationary speakers in your ears. Honestly, Aaron calls it gravity for his ears. The Studio Buds have a singular button which is used to either switch between ANC modes or use Siri, whereas the AirPods do not have any physical buttons. You have to either tap or just press the buds to activate the various functions. And if you're customizing what your taps do, the Pros have the most options for doing so. The Studio Buds and AirPod Pros are rated to IPX4, which means they are sweat resistant, so working out with them shouldn't be a problem. The normal AirPods aren't officially rated by Apple on their site, but we've been using them in the gym consistently for the last few years. The only time we suggest against working out with the AirPods is if you're really, really sweaty. Like, abnormally, you should see a doctor sweaty. For the fit, with the Studio Buds and AirPod Pros, Apple includes a set of different ear tips, so you'll have to go through some trial and error to find the best fit. You don't have that issue with the AirPods as they just sit in your ear instead of being stuffed. The Studio Beats charge via USB-C, whereas the other two products charge via lightning cables, and if you buy the right case, wirelessly. The last difference is price. The Pros are the most expensive of the group, topping out at $250. The AirPods at $160, and the Studio Beat Pros at $150.
So in the next part, we're going to break down actual real-life usage between working and chilling and exercising. Now to figure out which one we like best when working out, we came up with the AirPod Pro Beat Bud Showdown, which consisted of 3 rounds of a 600-meter weighted run, 50 single unders, 12 scap pull-ups, 8 ring T Ys and Is, 20 wide lunges, 16 single arm ring rows, and as many handstand push-ups as we could stand. Now for each round, we would switch between each set of headphones, and well, what did we figure out?
So exercising with the normal AirPods, from my perspective, these things, is still kind of terrible. The more you move with these things in your ears, the higher chance that they're going to fall out. So all the stationary stuff that you do, like the bench, arm curls. I don't do a lot of stationary stuff. These things are going to stay in your ears, but the moment that you start running a lot, you start skipping a lot, you're going to be more worried about these coming to your ears than your actual workout, from my perspective. Val, counterpoint.
To be honest, these are like my everyday headphones at the gym, and they've never fallen out of my ears. Like, I've done handstand push-ups, I've done running, skipping, I've done every kind of CrossFit workout, and they've stayed in my ears. But I do have to say, I probably am not going as hard as you. So maybe that's why they stay in my ears.
So it really depends on your ear sizes. Like, I know you don't like working out with these things.
I hate it. Like, these fall out of my ears.
Really?
Yeah, and they just feel like, they always feel like my ears are plugged, and I don't like the sound. It, like, I can hear it, like.
Well, when you're running and you're jumping, there's like that reverberation of the pressure change between like the buds and the ears. That annoys me as well, and I don't actually work out with either one of these things, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. But between these two things, I would actually go with the Studio Bud Pros because they just felt a lot more secure. Both, from my perspective, were significantly better than AirPods. And when I'm working out, like, I can work out listening to really bad music because it is about the workout. I just need some white noise in the background, right? So I'm not particularly fussed about what I'm listening to or the quality, but it just has to stay in my ears, which these regular AirPods do not.
Final thing I'll say about working out is that both these products, the active noise cancellation, does a great job of cutting out wind noise when you're running, which is, you know, cool.
Unless you're like Val, who doesn't run very fast, so there is no wind noise.
He's not lying.
There's no wind noise on the Assault Runner.
True. Just hear my heavy breathing.
Before we continue on, if you like how we do our reviews, support us by getting your stuff through our links. Best way to support us, because this channel is powered by you guys, not the companies that are making all these things with massive advertising budgets.
And when it comes to using the different headphones on a daily basis, they all perform very well. The majority of the differences generally come from minor quality of life issues like ANC, spatial audio, and the type of music that you listen to.
Wait, ANC is a quality of life feature?
Yeah, like, do you really need noise cancellation? Like, is it fundamental to you listening to music? Like, is it an absolute have? You can get away with listening to music without it. Music just sounds better with it, right? So like, if all you're looking is just to listen to music, then you don't really need it.
I think you're wrong. What do you guys think? Is ANC a must or a nice to have?
Nice.
In general, Val and I like the sound of the AirPods Pro. Everything is a bit more balanced and has a fuller sound to it. We also like the sound of the AirPods over the Studio Buds for kind of the same reasons, though between the AirPods and the AirPods Pro, the Pros do sound better. The only time we both enjoyed the Studio Buds was when we were listening to something with a heavier beat. When it comes to the ANC, the Pros were better than the Studio Buds from our perspective.
So I did test out the transparency mode on the AirPods Pro and the Beats, and I have to say, I think the AirPods Pro is better. It just sounds better. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. And it's not only the sound, it's like the feeling in your ears that is just, it just feels more natural than these.
Was there any lag? Did you notice any lag?
Not really, to be honest, but I feel like that why there was like that difference for me is the fit. I feel like these fit better than the Beats. There's that like weird feeling in your ears that we were saying before with that one.
But do remember that we are comparing these things side by side, so unless you've got one bud and the other bud in the other ear, you're really not going to know the difference. But we're reviewers, this is what we do, so we're being very, very thorough. How about phone calls?
So for phone calls, kind of the same thing. The AirPods Pro were better, and I also got the person I was talking to tell me which phone call sounded better, and I didn't let them know like why, but they said the first phone call was better, which was with the AirPods Pros. Like they could hear me a lot clearer. And again, like you just mentioned, not that it was bad with the Beats, but just like side by side comparing them, there's a slight difference, but you wouldn't notice if you weren't comparing them one after the other.
Cool. So here's something that's crept up on me over the last few months, actually last year, I would say, is spatial audio. The AirPod Pros have several more sensors in them, which basically means they kind of know where they are in space. And so spatial audio basically mimics theater-like sound without actually having the physical speakers. So watching movies on the iPad with the AirPod Pros is just audio gravy. Gravy. Gravy.
Great.
I'm not as excited for spatial audio for music. It does sound different, but I haven't really bought into that. But for movies, it's just something else. Like just gravy for your ears.
Is that what
Gravy.
it said?
Yes, gravy.
No, it didn't. It said gravity, then autocorrect
Gravy.
changed it.
I said gravy.
That makes more sense. I was like, gravity for your ears. Why? That totally makes sense.
Gravy. The other thing that we noticed with the Studio Buds was that the process of putting them back into the case, like, it really throws me off. Because with the buds, with any one of the AirPods, like you grab the bottom base of the buds and then you know where they kind of go. But these things, there's a certain level of symmetry with where you pull on it. And so you're just like kind of like trying to do this. It really threw me off. And it still throws me off. I've been using these every other day. And because of this design, you tend to push the button as well, which every once in a while, if you're just like trying to readjust it in your ear and you push the button and the music turns off and you're like, I didn't like that song anyways, and you just throw your thing away because it's just a terrible song.
Now that you mention that, I will say the amount of times that I've dropped these buds is insane. Like every time I'm taking them out of my ears, just the shape of them, or like trying to pull them out, like it's kind of hard to pull them out. And then when you're taking them out of your ears, like I drop them 9 out of 10 times.
Have you dropped these more than you've dropped your phone?
It's up there.
We review cases and she doesn't even have a case on her phone.
Because you asked me not to put a case on my phone because we're reviewing that stupid loop thing that sucks, by the way.
Really? I
hate it. It like cuts my circulation off on my finger and it doesn't work with Qi charging, although it says it does. It doesn't.
You have to use their Qi charger.
There's the catch. The last thing is that the AirPod cases handle a bit better than the matte finish on the Studio Buds. Also, there's a lot more accessories for the AirPods than the Studio Buds, if that's your thing.
This thing is so slick. It's like a bar of soap.
It looks like one too. Aw.
All right, let's talk about finality.
When it comes to using them in the office, the AirPod Pros are better. And between these two, I'm gonna have to go with the AirPods. I think it's just honestly personal preference. I don't like the rubber like tips that go in your ears, and these are so much easier to put in and take out, because these are just a weird shape. Like the Beats are a weird shape. And maybe I'm just used to these. I like these better.
When it comes to the gym, I would take the Studio Buds over the Pros. They felt just a tiny bit more secure when compared to the AirPod Pros, and they were definitely, again, from my perspective, better than the normal AirPods. Now, with that being said, I do want to point out that out of Apple's entire lineup of headphones, the best headphones to work out with are actually the Powerbeat Pros. And if you want to see what we think about that product, do check that video out, because basically ear loops, and you don't have that like running reverberation thing, because, well, there's no active noise cancellation, which may suck, may not, but I'm more concerned about just having a bit of music in the background and finishing my workout than what my music actually sounds like while sweating. So that's just me, but from our perspective, if you're looking for a pair of headphones strictly for working out, check out the Powerbeats Pros. All right, final verdict. Studio Buds, from my perspective, decent pair of headphones. Biggest thing for me is the price. The MSRP minus any sort of sale is that this is $10 cheaper than this, and you get a lot more quality of life features with this product. Like it takes probably the most useful features from the AirPod Pros and puts it into this package at a decent price. Right. AirPod Pros, from my perspective, still the king of Apple's wireless headphones. Like, these things are just awesome. But the Studio Buds, pretty good. I would take them over the AirPods. Sorry, Val. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, if you absolutely need noise canceling and ANC, I think the Beats, they're just better value, I guess, for what you're paying. The AirPod Pros are still obviously better than these because they do have all those extra features, but they are a lot pricier. So if you don't care and like all you need is decent sounding headphones at a cheap price, I would go with these. But if you do want the extra features, the Beats for sure.
So that's all we got. Questions, comments, leave them down there. First time watching one of our videos, again, unsponsored content. This is what we do. We're reviewers, not influencers, but in a really shrewd way, we're real influencers because we're not taking any money from anybody to tell you what to buy.
True.
So Val, if our viewers want to support the channel, what can they do? They can stop beer from coming out of their nose.
That was pretty close. No, you can hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, support us through Patreon, and get all your products and headphones through it. That was so close! Through our Amazon links.
And why should you do this? Because Monty is incredibly cute.
And he got a haircut.
You got a haircut.